Hey guys, welcome to my at-home full leg wax tutorial. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do a leg wax at home, and I'm going to give you some top tips on how to make your life so much easier when doing it at home. So what you're going to need for this tutorial is a wax heater and a wax pot. It depends what type of wax you're using for this, but I'm going to use a cream wax. So I have put my machine to melt it, and you tend to go for normally the middle setting. So whatever your wax pot says, normally put it on the middle setting and let it warm up, and you want the consistency to look a little bit like that. Then you're going to need some sort of after lotion. You can use something that's really soothing for your skin, so something that contains aloe vera. You'll need some oil. I promise you this is an amazing tip because you'll rub it in your hands and your hands won't be sticky, and it'll be so much easier to use a spatula and your wax strips. Honestly, this is a game changer when you're doing this at home. Another thing you need is a cleanser to cleanse your legs, to make sure you've not got any creams or any sweat on your skin. So if you haven't got like a proper body cleanser, use something like makeup remover, that'll work. So some baby powder. If you haven't got any baby powder, you could use something like cornstarch or something like that. Most people have those at home. That's going to help your body not feel sweaty, and it'll make the application of the wax apply a little bit easier while you're at home. This is also a massive thing that will help your loads from feeling like all messy and in the way. So you need a bin bag, because when you finish with your wax strips, you want to put those in the bin so you've not got any mess, because I promise you when you're doing this at home, it does get messy. Wax spatulas, of course, we need those to do any type of leg wax. Wax strips, I like to use the paper wax strips, but they do come in different forms. You can buy fabric ones, they are just as good, but I prefer the paper ones. And actually, if you are doing it at home, you'll probably find it easier to use paper wax strips rather than fabric. And don't forget, the really important thing is an old towel, because you are probably going to spill some wax. So just apply the cleanser all over your legs. Make sure you've not got any oils, any creams, anything like that on them. And then I'm just going to go over and just wipe it with a tissue to make sure it's not wet. Next stage is you're going to use a little bit of talc, and you're just going to apply that. So this has now absorbed any wetness of the legs, and it's going to make it a little bit easier for the wax to stick to the legs. So you need to make sure your wax is the perfect temperature, and always test just on the inside of your arm before you actually apply it onto your legs, because if it is too hot, you are going to burn your skin, so you do have to be really careful. So normally, if you've left it on that middle setting, that should be absolutely fine, and that temperature feels absolutely perfect. It doesn't feel too hot, but it feels a little bit warm. Okay, so with this strip wax, with this cream wax that I've got, it does require wax strips. Some don't, some do. So if you're following this video using hot wax, it is kind of the exact same method. You just don't use the strip at the end, you just pull it off without the strip. So even if you haven't got cream wax, you're using hot wax, you can still watch this video. So you dip in a nice amount, and you just want to scrape the one side of it and twizzle. And then you'll see that it doesn't drip. I'm going to work in small sections. So I'm going to start maybe the ankle area, and I'm going to work my way up, and I'm going to start on the front of the leg because it'll be a lot easier. I'm going to hold the back of my leg nice and taut with my hand, my free hand. And then I'm just going to apply the wax downwards with my hair growth, just like that. So you always want to follow your hair growth. You always want to make sure your spatula is sat at this angle as well. If it's too flat, you'll get to there and it'll stop spreading. Just a slight turn, and that'll make the wax move perfectly and smoothly. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole of my front of my ankle, so you can see how easy it is to apply when it's at that angle. If it was flatter, you get to there and it stops, and then it's really thick up here, so you want it really nice and thin. And I'm going to put a little bit more just at that side, just like that. Using my same wax strip that I did on my arm, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the same one on my leg. So it's really important to leave a nice tab what you can use to pull. So make sure you do not put the wax strip all over here because it'll make it so much harder. You want to leave a nice tab. So I'm going to apply that to the ankle. So start from the bottom, wherever you are, start from the bottom. So if I were to do this up here, I'd get all messy, my hands would be messy. So start at the bottom, give it a nice press, nice firm press, make sure all the wax is stuck to that strip. Then you're going to give it a firm grip and pull up just like that. Don't worry about if it's flipped up here because we'll get that in a bit. And then you go back over any little areas that you've missed, and again. Again, if you've missed any little areas, it doesn't matter, you can go over again just like that. And then I'm going to grab that little bit now because I'm going to work from one side to the other. Same technique, make sure you've left this tab here. You can see I've not got any wax on this tab. And I'm pressing nice and firmly. Okay, I'm going to go here and pull. So I might have left my wax to be a bit cooler. So you could see then I'd left my wax to get a little bit cool. So I should have done it quicker, but that's because I'm talking. So if it does get a bit cool and that happens, don't worry. Just press over it again and it'll come off. As you can see, the area I've gone over has got a little bit red. That's totally normal. Remember, you're literally ripping the hair follicles out of your skin. So it's totally normal to go a little bit red. Oh, that was another tip. So if you found that your hands felt a little bit sticky when you was doing that, just pop a little bit of oil just on your hands and give it a rub together. Don't rub the actual excess oil off, just leave it to soak into your hands, and then you'll find when you're doing it, your hands won't feel sticky. So that's another really good tip. Exactly the same as what we did to the bottom. Get a nice big blob on that spatula and we're gonna swizzle that stick. When you're bringing it over to your leg, keep swizzling it because as soon as you stop swizzling it, it'll start dripping. So just keep swizzling it. And then we're gonna work on this section here. So starting from this side, and it does get a little bit sticky and a little bit messy the first time you try this, but I promise you, the more practice you do, the easier it'll get. And just take your time with it, there's no rush. I'm just going to go back over here because I think I can get a little bit more on this side, just like that. Applying your wax strip in the exact same way as what I told you on the bottom. Apply it, stretch your skin and pull nice and taut. So you can see I've been quicker with this one and the wax comes off so much easier. So the quicker you work in between applying it and pulling your strip off, the better it'll come off. If you leave it a little bit too long, it just cools down a bit and then that's when it comes off a bit clumpy. A little bit there. That's it. So that area is all nice and smooth. So I'm now going to show you how to do the knee area. When doing the knee, you need to make sure your knee is bent. You cannot have your leg straight. If you have it straight, that wax is going to bruise that knee like hell. So you need to make sure your knee is bent. And you just bring that round just like that. If you have a bruise or anything like that, you can wax over it, don't worry. Gets a little bit trickier when you start getting to the bonier bits, but your wax does spread, so even if you miss a bit, you can go over it again. And you can see I'm pulling my skin taut as I'm actually applying it. It makes it a little bit easier. So I would never put that full strip over the full area of the knee. I'd always do it in sections again. So start on the bottom half of the knee, just applying that strip again, making sure you've got a nice tab to pull it up, and pulling your skin taut, pull that up. So after that area, I would then go on to the top bit, same way, and pull. And then start again on the bottom. So you just kind of want to do it in sections. So you just want to keep following where you've been and making sure you're pressing nice and firmly. So you could see that bit there, it didn't come off properly on my nail, so make sure you give it an extra bit of grip and pull. So I've picked up a fresh strip because that was getting a bit thick. If there's any stragglers that you've missed or that hasn't come out with the wax, you can just go over and give those a tweeze. It's normally on the knee that you'll find that, because a lot of hairs on your knee are a little bit ingrowing. Now for the top section of your leg. So a lot of people don't touch the top of the legs. They'll only go to where we've just gone to. That's called a half leg wax, what we've just done. Up here is called a full leg wax. You can usually do this section quite easily because it's a lot easier. You've not got as much bone up here. It's a lot smoother. So this section actually is a lot easier. And you're just gonna go to that line what you've just waxed up to. The only thing up here is it's a little bit more delicate and the skin is a lot more fattier, which means when you pull the wax strip off, your skin's going to wobble a little bit more, so you need to be a lot firmer on your grip when you're pulling the wax strip off so you don't bruise. Grabbing your wax strip once again, we're going to place that on the side we did first, stretch the skin and pull up. When you're taking this section off here, I will turn my wax strip this way round, just because it's a lot easier to stretch your skin underneath there. If you do it the other way, you'll definitely bruise. So I turn my strip there, make sure I hold the skin nice and taut and pull off in that angle, just like that. Now to do the back of the legs, we're going to do it in two different stages. So this side of the leg, we're going to try and get as much as we can in this position like this. So you're going to turn your leg so it's like this, and we're going to just apply the wax in the same way. It's a little bit trickier, obviously, doing the backs of your legs. But if you take your time with it, I reckon if you're very flexible as well, it's a little bit easier. I am not flexible, so it's a bit harder for me. Give it a nice firm press. So it's a little bit harder to pull your skin from here. So don't worry, just as long as your foot is nice and stretched out. So try and give your foot a nice stretch out and then rip it off. So press, make sure that foot is stretched out and pull. So you can now pull that section underneath because you've got more room to do it. I'm going to use a different wax strip now as well, just so it doesn't get hard. So I've done everything what I can reach. There's a few little bits there which I can't actually reach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my leg the other way, and then I can get those little bits from this side. You can see the wax has gone obviously a little bit cooler, so just keep pressing your finger on it until it comes off. It. So now we're on to this section. So my hairs are growing in this direction, so I'm going to apply the wax in that direction. And you can see where I've waxed up to, and you'll be able to see where you've waxed up to because there'll be a nice red mark. And now if you can remember, I always said pull against your hair growth. So I applied it that way, so I need to pull it off that way. And that is how easy it is to do the back of your leg. This is where it gets a little bit harder, trying to do at the back of your thigh. I'm going to pick the back of my thigh up and I'm just going to apply my wax just like that. So I'm going to do that section first. I'm not going to go too far with it because I won't be able to pull it off. So we're going to do it in 2 different sections. And my hair is growing at a slight angle. So I know I didn't apply it like that because it's a lot harder to do it on yourself, but just as long as you pull it off that way. So stretch the skin from the front and rip off. So press, stretch the skin from the front, pull off. It's quite handy to have a mirror down there as well if you can't see. That angle done, I'm going to turn over, moving on to the next section, the back of the thigh. So I'm going to pull my skin as tight as I can. Try and work in really small sections. Apply the strip like so, stretch the skin and a big pull. So it'll be easier if you lift your leg up as well because you've got more room to pull it. So stretch and pull. And that little bit under there. Leg up and pull. Okay, so check all that area to make sure you don't miss any hairs. After you've checked all the area to make sure you have got every little hair, you're going to apply your after lotion. The best bit that is so soothing. And apply it all over and let it really sink in. So if you've got loads of little spots on your legs like this, it is totally normal, so don't worry about that. If you've got loads of bruises on your legs like this, that's probably not normal, but if it's happened before you've waxed, it is normal. You might get a few bruises during this, and the reason why you will have had, or the reason why you will have got bruises is because you haven't pulled your skin tight enough. Hopefully, if you followed it correctly, you won't have any problems. And that is that leg all complete. So you now need to repeat the exact same steps on your other leg. It is really easy. The only thing that's a little bit tricky is the backs of the thighs. Everything else is pretty straightforward. And if you take your time, you will absolutely be fine. So that's basically it for your at-home leg wax tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. That would be amazing. And if you've got any questions that you want to ask me, please comment below and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.